One day, almost everyone on Earth suddenly vanished without a trace. The streets were deserted. Food was still steaming hot. People disappeared faster than your ex when you said, "We need to talk." A small number of survivors barely had time to catch their breath before being forced into a mysterious game of survival. Depending on the rules, they would either work together or eliminate each other. The winners would receive a card granting them extra time to live. If you want to stay alive, you play. If not, well, wait for death to knock. And this time, it's not just a metaphor. Alice in Borderland, released in December 2020, is a Japanese series adapted from the manga of the same name. It's a brutal survival game genre, so expect plenty of brain-melting challenges. Add in a young and ridiculously good-looking cast, because apparently, even near-death experiences need eye candy, and you've got a must-watch. The story begins with our main character, Arisu, the Japanese pronunciation of Alice. He's a gamer who spends all day locked in his room, surrounded by games and manga. Through a tense conversation with his younger brother and father, it's clear Arisu is still grieving his mother's death. He escapes reality through games, leaving his family disappointed. Honestly, even the air conditioner was more helpful around the house. Tired of their constant nagging, Arisu runs away from home and meets up with his two best friends. First is Karub, who just got fired from a bar for kissing a coworker's girlfriend. Smooth move, Romeo. He got punched so hard he probably saw the next calendar year. Then there's Chota, an office worker drained from constantly handing his salary over to his mother. "This is the last time, Mom," he says, before getting guilt-tripped into giving more. The three losers reunite at Shibuya Crossing, the busiest intersection in Tokyo. While messing around, they spot fireworks, yes, in broad daylight. Their stunt causes a car crash, and soon they're on the run from the cops. They dash into a public restroom to hide. Then suddenly the lights go out. For a moment, it felt just like a blackout in Vietnam. When they step out, the entire city is empty. Even the world's busiest crossing is now quieter than a haunted temple. They search high and low but find no one. It's as if humanity just evaporated. Food's still warm, power is out, and their phones are dead, classic no Wi-Fi nightmare. Arisu gets a little too excited at the idea of living in a world with just the three of them. But suddenly, a digital sign lights up, announcing that the game is about to begin, and points them toward the arena. The trio follows the signal to a nearby building. Unbeknownst to them, they pass through laser sensors. Inside, they find a sign explaining that each player will receive a smartphone after a face scan. The phones have no signal and no call function, basically fancy paperweights. Turns out, they're only used for checking into the game. While they're still confused, a woman named Saori enters and warns them. Refuse to play, or try to escape the boundary, and you die. It's just like skipping class, but with actual death. Another girl, a high schooler, soon joins them, clearly just as lost. The system announces the game, Dead or Alive, with a difficulty level of 3 clubs. The objective? Escape the building before time runs out. Saori seems like a veteran and urges caution. With no choice, the group follows her to begin the game. In the first room, they have 2 minutes and 2 doors to choose from, life or death. Thinking it's a joke, Chota starts filming with his phone, because obviously, content is king. After a minute, smoke starts rising from the floor, forcing them to make a choice. Saori insists on the life door but doesn't open it herself. With 20 seconds left, the schoolgirl panics and opens the life door, only to be instantly vaporized by a laser. Everyone outside freaks out and rushes through the death door just in time to avoid becoming human toast. In the next room, they get 1 minute and 50 seconds. Now the boys realize this isn't child's play. Saori continues to pressure others to open the doors while she plays it safe. She tells Arisu that it doesn't matter which door they choose. Someone just has to die to move forward. Torn between survival and guilt, Arisu still can't bring himself to act. With 30 seconds remaining, Karub steps up and opens the life door, but only if Saori agrees to open the next one. Luck's on their side, he picks the correct door, and they sprint into the next room. But every time they advance, the clock shortens by 10 seconds, just like life after your 20th. This time, Karub tells Saori to open the door, but she refuses. Running out of time, Karub turns to Arisu, the brains of the group, to solve the puzzle. But Arisu is frozen, sitting in a corner, full panic mode. He even tells Chota to go solve it himself. In frustration, Chota punches him back to reality. Sometimes, friendship needs a knuckle sandwich. That punch works. Arisu starts thinking clearly and safely leads them into the next room. Turns out, He used the parked car outside to estimate the building's length, about 20 meters. Each room is a 6-meter square, and with the map near the elevator, he deduces the building is a grid of 9 rooms. With this, he starts navigating the group safely. But in the 7th room, the death door faces outward, leading to adjacent buildings. Arisu thinks it's a dead end. Meanwhile, the life door leads back to the 1st room, the one where the schoolgirl died. Stuck between a wall and a corpse, Arisu remembers Chota recorded the 1st room. Reviewing the footage, he realizes the girl's room wasn't square and had no other exit. Meaning, beyond the life door, there's another room. With no time left, the group opens the life door and makes it out just in time, saved by a random phone video. Proof that sometimes, oversharing actually saves lives. Because Soa was a second too slow, he got his butt scorched. Literally. In the 8th room, they only had 10 seconds to decide. They were about to take the life door, but luckily, Adisu stopped them just in time and led them through the death door instead. Good thing they played survival games, not the lottery, or they'd be toast. They escaped the building and successfully cleared the game. As a reward, they received the 3 of clubs playing card and had their visas extended by 3 days, meaning 3 more days of staying alive. Just then, a man appeared and warned them that no matter how many games they cleared, their visas would eventually expire in this world. Visa extensions are even tougher than US student visas. He was sick of playing the game. As soon as his visa expired, a laser shot down from the sky and instantly ended his life, so Oji thanked the trio and explained that to survive here, they must keep clearing games to renew their visas. Basically, it's a play-to-live subscription plan. From afar, a beautiful girl was watching as lasers rained down from the sky, striking down everyone whose visas had expired. Her name was Usagi. Trained in mountaineering by her father, she managed to survive on her own. She promised him she'd keep living, and she was holding a playing card in her hand. The next day, Aisu checked all the cars on the road, but none worked. Even the fruit in the vehicles had rotted and reeked. Apocalypse-level survival, but the first boss is spoiled groceries. Soa realized all modern electronics using IC chips had been fried, but older, analog devices were still functional. He guessed the fireworks they had seen were actually an EMP attack that disabled all electronics. Still, it didn't explain why the game registration phones still worked. Must be some next-gen apocalypse-proof tech. Suddenly, Arisu's phone died, battery drained. And with no power around, charging it was a joke. On the other side, Karub was picking out a knife for self-defense. Sai cheerfully told them gas stoves and flashlights still worked. Thanks to that, they got to enjoy a hot meal. While eating, they talked about how everyone had vanished. Sai said she'd arrived 3 days earlier. At that time, she was shoveling coal with her boss in a broken furnace. But that story was too embarrassing, so she just said she was working, shoveling coal for survival. Talk about burnout. Like the others, she saw the lights go out and everyone disappeared. Then, she was suddenly forced into a game with no explanation. In her game, she was the only survivor. Kazu suspected she may have sacrificed others to survive, but Saoji didn't blame her. Survival was the only goal. Here, morality expires faster than the visa. Aju pointed out that everyone disappeared at different times, and someone must be behind all this, creating these games. Who was the twisted mastermind? So I guess they were inside a VR simulation. But that didn't explain their injuries. The debate went nowhere. Suddenly, Soa had a breakdown. He believed all of this was caused by the gods. Even the gods would file a complaint if blamed like this. Concerned for Soa's mental health, Aisu joined a game the next night to help him adapt and make sure they could support him through it. Karub also hoped to find a doctor while playing, to help Soa recover. Adisu agreed and hoped they'd soon uncover the truth behind these games. That night, Soa was cared for by Sai. He opened up saying his mother was part of a strange religious cult, and because of that he was bullied a lot as a kid. Honestly, childhood trauma here is the least weird part. Luckily, Aisu and Kazu had always been there for him. Still, Soa felt inferior. Karub was strong and good at fighting, Aju was brilliant, and he was just a broke, useless guy relying on his friends. Saoji assumed the 2 guys stuck with Soa because they liked having someone weaker around. But Soa disagreed. He truly believed his friends weren't like that. Sai started to seduce him, saying they had a lot in common. She too had been betrayed before. She confessed to taking care of her boss's little bird in hopes of getting promoted. Apparently, taking care of baby birds is now part of corporate survival skills. She said Soa was the only one she could trust now. Then, she used her broken furnace, literally and metaphorically, to manipulate him. Despite her attention, Soa still prayed to the gods to protect his friends. In a flashback, we see Soa's mom trying to join a bizarre cult. To qualify, she had to let the cult leader roast his sweet potatoes at their place. Not sure if it's a cult or a traveling barbecue club. Meanwhile, at an apartment complex, the trio showed up for roll call. There was also a rookie soldier, a mysterious white-haired guy charging some homemade device, and several other experienced players. In total, 13 people had signed up for a game called Tag, marked by the 5 of spades, indicating a high-difficulty strength-based game. They had 20 minutes to avoid a hunter, find a control room in the complex, and press a button to clear the game. If they failed, the bomb in the building would explode. No pressure. Just a timer and a bomb. An experienced player named Naito explained that each suit represented a game type. A spades for strength, clubs for teamwork, diamonds for intelligence, and hearts for betrayal and mind games. The number on the card represented the difficulty. Higher meant deadlier. As the game began, players scattered to find the control room. Only the white-haired guy stayed cool, listening to music and observing everyone. Because why not vibe while death's on the clock? The bomb countdown began. The system announced the hunter's release. A gunshot rang out. The hunter, wearing a horse head and armed with a machine gun, appeared and began gunning down players. Even veterans like Naito were eliminated quickly. One terrified man tried to run out of the complex, only to be gunned down by the system. Turns out, running just gets you killed faster. 2 unfortunate girls also met their end not long after. After observing carefully, Anise realized the horse-headed demon had limited vision. He quickly shouted its location so everyone could escape and split up to find the control panel. Thanks to that, Usagi managed to crawl away just in time and warn the others. But when face to face with the demon, she had no choice but to protect herself and watch someone else die. A true save-yourself-first moment. The white-haired guy stayed calm, completely unfazed by the chaos around him, as if he was meditating in the middle of a battlefield. With only 8 minutes left, Arisu saw the demon aiming at a rookie from afar. He rushed to help. Meanwhile, a gangster-looking dude and his buddy showed up, trying to recruit Karub for a counterattack, and told Arisu to go look for the control panel. Usagi also joined them, reporting that she had already cleared the 5th and 6th floors. With her speed, she'd take care of the 1st and 2nd, basically the parkour queen of the apocalypse. But hunting demons wasn't as simple as drawing plans on paper. One person got shot almost immediately. When the demon was about to attack Kazu, the gangster finally got his shot. He hit it with a fire extinguisher, a classic chemistry class gone rogue move. Kazu took advantage of the smoke, grabbed the extinguisher and smacked the demon in the head, but it barely flinched. The gangster then charged in for a fistfight and got launched like a ragdoll. From behind, Kazu stabbed the demon with a knife he'd hidden earlier. But of course, the demon wasn't going down that easy. It slashed Kazu's side with its blade. Ouch. Fortunately, the gangster kicked it away just in time, even if he took a slash to the face. He was ready to go all out. Meanwhile, Arisu and Usagi were still searching for the control panel. Arisu suddenly realized the demon shot the rookie to guard a specific room. He dashed there and found the white-haired guy had also arrived. Even though the room could be booby-trapped, time was running out, so Arisu stepped in. Seeing it was safe, the white-haired guy followed. But surprise! Another demon jumped out from the shadows. Guess darkness really is the best hiding spot for horror entrances. Arisu pushed him aside just in time, and the white-haired guy zapped the demon with a homemade electric device. Too bad it wasn't strong enough. The demon recovered and started shooting. While dodging bullets, the white-haired guy ran out and slammed the door shut, trapping Arisu inside. Arisu found the button to end the game, but it required 2 people to press. Of course it does. He rushed to the balcony, shouting for help. The second demon broke through the door. With no other choice, Arisu tried to hold him off. Thankfully, Usagi showed up, along with the white-haired guy. Together, they finally managed to complete the game, with just 1 second left on the clock. Classic action movie timing. Everyone got the victory message. Then, the collars on the 2 demons exploded. Turns out they were players too. Plot twist unlocked. Later, while the gangster was looting the demon stuff, Kazu found a radio on one of his fallen teammates. A voice on the other end said they'd found the answer and told everyone to return to the beach. But was it real or just bait to lure people in? Arisu, being the good guy, felt guilty for clearing the game that cost 2 lives. Usagi consoled him. Everyone here was forced to play. It wasn't his fault. If the demons had lived, someone else would have died. Brutal math, but that's the game. One survives, the rest don't. No participation trophies here. Just then, the white-haired guy found a weird drawing in the demon's pocket. Some mystery unlocked. Maybe? The next morning, Usagi reflected on the career she'd sacrificed everything for, even selling her body and stepping over colleagues to climb the ladder. Now, she was determined to survive and return to that glamorous life. HR nightmares, but make it dystopian. After getting patched up, Karub shared what he heard over the radio. He believed the answer was at the beach and was determined to get there. But first, they had to beat the next game to renew Soda's visa. Arisu, still haunted by the deaths, was the polar opposite of SAE, who was more than willing to sacrifice others to survive. But let's be honest, everyone wants to live. In that shared instinct, Arisu and SAE understood each other. At least they both made it out alive. For now. That afternoon, Kazu went to buy a ring to propose. Hoda and Sagi thought he might ditch them. Typical love triangle tension, but all four made it in time for the next game at the zoo. They were given weapons, goggles, and collars. The game was called Hide and Seek. Difficulty level 7. One player is the wolf. The rest are sheep. After 15 minutes, all sheep die and only the wolf survives. Grim children's game, huh? Soa started as the wolf, but the role switched just by locking eyes, first to Arisu, then Karub. Sagi realized the trick and made everyone look at her, becoming the wolf, then ran off to hide. If no one found her by the time limit, she'd win. Genius move or betrayal, depending who you ask. Karub chased after her. Soa, injured, could only sit and relay strategy via earpiece. He begged Sagi to come back and work together, but honestly, that was a Disney-level bad idea. Karub caught Sagi and used force to steal the wolf role. But Sagi didn't go down easy. She picked up a rock and started bashing his old wound like a maniac. Then Arisu showed up. He got the wolf role but couldn't stop them from fighting, so he just ran. Meanwhile, Soa was praying to the gods, though a patch update would have been more helpful. Arisu was eventually caught. Sagi pleaded to live, saying her life had been miserable while Arisu had nothing to lose. Kazu told Arisu he loved him, unexpected, and Arisu decided to give up the win. Suddenly, Soa returned and shoved Sagi, giving Arisu a chance to escape. Even after being thrown around by Sai like a ragdoll, Soa still chose to sacrifice herself for Arisu. Ah, the power of guilt, or maybe just a bad case of Stockholm Syndrome. Saji, stunned, asked, "I gave you a full charge and that's how you repay me?" Meanwhile, Karub chased after Arisu, yelling that he was trying to survive on his own. So much for "we'll all work together." Turns out he was just another coward ditching friends when things got real. Classic team betrayal speedrun. Arisu ran off, hiding in a corner, desperately trying to remove the noose device but failed. He thought of the last game's loser and couldn't face death. His solution: apologize and vanish into a dark corner, hoping no one would find him. Peak ninja mode activated. Hearing the apology through the earpiece, Kazu snapped, "If you're just gonna be pathetic, let me be the wolf and beat this game alone." But Arisu sat there frozen in fear. With only 5 minutes left, everyone started reminiscing about their past, because nothing says "we're screwed" like a flashback montage. Arisu remembered when his younger brother got into college and made their dad proud. Meanwhile, he, an eternal gamer, got sidelined. Thankfully, Soa and Karub dragged him out to hang. The three shared countless happy moments and dreams still unfulfilled. Ah yes, the sacred bond of bros and PlayStation. Karub thought of his lover, while Soa felt survival meant little if you died with regret. In the end, Arisu couldn't stand it. His friends meant more to him than life itself. He tried to find someone to swap roles with, but it was too late. They had all already chosen death. Kazu hid in silence, ignoring Arisu's cries. Soda covered Saji's mouth so she wouldn't call out for help. Hide and seek. Deathmatch edition. In the final minutes, Kazu and Soda spoke about their shared memories and decided to let Arisu live. Make it out and beat the game, they said. Their sacrifice touched Saji too, and she gave up her life for him. This friendship circle has more loyalty than most online squads. I hoped for a miracle where all four survived, but no. Arisu was the only one left. He cradled Kazu's lifeless body, screaming in agony at the same time. Usagi was recalling her father, a professional mountaineer who passed on to her his love for the mountains. Out there, she felt peace and true freedom. Because nothing says peace like cliffs and hypothermia. One day, her dad vanished during a climb, after being accused of lying about his no-oxygen ascent. The media claimed suicide. For Usagi, losing her only family left a permanent scar. Nowadays, she'd adapted, hunting animals to survive. One day, she found Arisu lying on the road, drained of will to live. "I'm done," he muttered. Achievement unlocked. Rock bottom. Usagi shrugged and walked away. But when she passed by again and saw him still there, drenched in rain, she brought him back and gave him food. Forget CPR, this girl revives people with snacks. Even though Arisu claimed he wanted to die, his stomach said otherwise. Guilt over his friend's death still haunted him. Usagi told him, "If you're gonna die anyway, do it in a game or wait for your visa to expire, but don't waste my food." Survival tip number 1. Never waste free calories. Next day, Usagi returned to find Arisu had eaten everything. Weak-willed and easily tempted, just how does a guy like this make it out alive? He admitted he shouted during the wolf game because he didn't want to die. Usagi believed it was thanks to him that she survived, and decided to help him in return. That night, the two joined the next game on an abandoned highway. The registration point was an old bus, where 3 other players waited, one of them injured. It reminded Arisu of his old trio. Deja vu with extra trauma. This game, called Distance, had a difficulty level of 4. They had 120 minutes to complete the course and survive. Everyone's phones switched to 0 and started tracking their distance. They tried to start the bus, but it was out of fuel. The injured guy volunteered to stay behind. Though it was hard, his friends accepted it. Usagi agreed too, while Arisu hesitated. But thinking of those who died for him, he decided to give it everything. As they ran, the distance counter kept climbing. After 5 kilometers, they reached a checkpoint with water. Brown shirt guy reached for it, but white shirt guy stopped him. Arisu almost drank too. Usagi smacked his hand away. When in doubt, assume the water's poisoned. Always. Instead, Usagi gave him her own bottle. Arisu kindly shared with the others, while Usagi sighed in the background. Suddenly, a black panther jumped out and attacked. White shirt dove into an underground pipe just in time. Unable to reach him, the beast turned to Arisu and Usagi. Why does every wild animal have a grudge against the main cast? They sprinted into a nearby car. A flash bomb. Wherever it came from. Scared off the panther just long enough. Brown shirt guy wasn't so lucky. He got mauled. Even as he died, he told them to keep running. What a guy. MVP of short-lived characters. The remaining 3 kept going. But now, white shirt guy was exhausted. His body was shutting down, and his teammates were dead. Disheartened and ready to give up, Arisu was urged by Usagi to keep going. For those who died because of him, quitting is easy. Surviving is the real mental torture. After running 8 kilometers, Arisu spotted an old motorcycle with a full tank. He believed it could help jumpstart the broken-down bus and save the injured man. Though the man still had time, Arisu made a deal. He'd bring the bike back, while Usagi and the guy in white kept running. For once, someone in this game wasn't just thinking of themselves. True to his word, Arisu pushed the motorbike back. Usagi and the man reached the finish line, and Arisu returned safely to the bus. While they waited, the steel wall behind them suddenly gave way to a powerful flood. The man in white stumbled and was swallowed by the water. Arisu barely managed to pull Usagi into the bus before it flipped over from the impact. They blacked out. When they came to, the water had drained. Stumbling out, they found "finish line" written on the side of the bus. Plot twist. They'd been at the finish the whole time. Turns out, running 8 kilometers in a circle is just cardio for the gods' amusement. Still, the game was cleared. The injured man thanked them and left. Nobody knows where. Therapy, maybe? Arisu, still reeling from loss, vowed to live and uncover who was behind the games. To avenge Karub and Chota. He told Usagi about the beach and they set out to find it. And that wraps up the first 4 episodes of Alice in Borderland. Arisu and the others were pulled into deadly games. Some made it, others didn't. Now only Arisu remains, carrying survivor's guilt like a badge of pain. Trauma. The ultimate party favor. Luckily, Usagi convinced him to go on and find whoever created this madness, so will they reach the beach? Make sure to come back for the next episode. You won't want to miss it.